Okay, so I'm using this video to talk about Cersei Lannister and Jaime Lannister. So, throughout Game of Thrones, and this is mainly going to be books and movie comparison, but I thought it was super interesting. We go from seeing Cersei and Jaime, they're together, they're hiding in secret, they are lovers and brother and sister, and Jaime starts out super cocky and arrogant, and he's a know-it-all, and he is not a kind person, and all he really cares about is Cersei and making sure Cersei's happy. And then we see him slowly change. So he pushes Bran out of the window, and there's the iconic "the things I do for love" line. And we see him not really feel much what in the way of remorse, but Cersei does in the book. She's like, "Oh my God, what did we do?" And she goes and she's trying to be caring as much as Cersei can be. And one major difference between the show and the book is the line about, Cersei telling Catelyn Stark by Bran's bedside, "I lost my little dark-haired son. He was a beautiful thing, and I cried and cried, and Robert beat his fist bloody," and talking about that. That's not in the books. And although it is a really great line and it humanizes Cersei so much, because when she comes to Winterfell, she's all stoic and she's not, she's like, "Kiss the ring," she's not that nice of a person. And then to watch that in the show was sweet, but that's not how she was in the book. Yes, she was worried about being caught and what it would mean for her and not wanting Bran to wake up. And then throughout the show, we see, and the book, Bran almost gets his throat cut. And if Catelyn hadn't been there, it would have been, he would have died. And so I think it's interesting how that kind of is the corruption of the story. Like, we see Bran fall, we see Eddard leaving, and Cersei's trying hard to keep her secret a secret. And throughout the show and the books, you don't see a whole lot of character development from Cersei. Cersei starts as manipulative, looking out for herself and her kids. She doesn't really give a crap what anybody thinks, and she's going to do what she wants to do. That is carrying out. Now, granted, I'm on Dance of Dragons, so, and I haven't finished it. I'm very early into it, but she's still got that mindset, and she loses her children throughout the way. She, in the show, has lost all of her children. In the book, she still has Tommen. She's mean to Tommen in the book, whereas in the show wasn't. She was much more caring. She's sitting on the Iron Throne, ready to drink the poison in case anybody breaks in. And then you see the counterpart, Jaime, which is interesting because he starts out cocky and arrogant. And I don't know about y'all, but when the show started, I didn't find Jaime attractive. The arrogance, the attitude, the look. I'm not into blonde guys, but that's neither here nor there. And we see him like, "Oh my God, I'm, the ruler," and everybody's like Kingslayer. And I think it's odd that no one took like 5 minutes, because you can't tell me that no one else around Aerys Targaryen knew that he was loopy. Like, you cannot tell me that. And so to me, watching that Jaime go from, "I'm high and mighty, I'm in the King's Guard, I'm this, that, and the other," to he's a prisoner of Catelyn Stark. He makes oaths to bring Catelyn Stark her daughters. He finds out that she's died. He's kidnapped and held hostage and loses his hand. And him and Brienne have the best banter. They're nitpicking back and forth. And when his hand's gone, he falls into depression, which, I mean, I think anybody would. I don't hold that against him. And he falls into this depression, and he goes on to try and regain with his left hand what his right hand had. So he's trying to reclaim his sword, his prowess, because he thinks he's worthless without a sword. So watching the fall of, "Oh, I'm up here, I'm great," to, I mean, just a negative way down, while Cersei's always remaining true to form. And to me, it's really odd the fact that Cersei doesn't even realize how much Jaime's going through. Like, she's had losses, and yet she is always like, "One-handed man, what good are you?" And that's so sad to me, because she supposedly loves Jaime so much, and yet you just don't care about him in a way that means anything. And when we finally get to see Cersei's POVs in A Feast of Crows, we see that she's a wonderful character, not a good person. Like, I don't want to be friends with her, but she's a phenomenally written character. She is cunning in some ways and blatantly naive in others. And so I personally would love to see a growth in character arc. I don't know that that would ever happen, but it would be nice. I also find it interesting the way Catelyn and Cersei can talk, because to me they are in a way similar, except Catelyn's not outright cruel to anybody, whereas Cersei makes several comments over, oh, I'm going to have the whipping boy brought in. Oh, cut out his tongue. Oh, do this. Oh, I'm going to sacrifice ladies to the Grand Maester, and I'm not gonna do anything for anybody else. And she wants Marjorie gone. Like, I find it really interesting the fact that Cersei seems to have no moral code outside of what serves her and her family, whereas Jaime's like, I promised to uphold the realm. I made an oath to Catelyn. I made an oath to Brienne. I've done this. Like, he doesn't honestly live up to the name Kingslayer. He's very much a decent person in a bad circumstance. So watching the book and show and how they do it is quite interesting, because they kind of make Cersei more vulnerable in the show, like with the Walk of Atonement, finding out Tommen has died, and they give her a reason kind of to be cruel. Whereas in the book, she's more of just sinister, and it's heavily hinted that her friend did not fall down the well on her own. It doesn't explicitly say that she was offed by Cersei, but it doesn't explicitly not say it, if that makes sense. So I personally love the book and the show. Cersei's a very interesting character. She's definitely in my top 5 of female characters that I love. But overall, Cersei is complicated, to say the least.